All right. So you know how we're always trying to like get a handle on what's actually going on in the world and like, see the bigger picture?
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're going even deeper. Okay? We're going to look at the very foundation of how we form that picture in the first place.
Oh, wow.
It's all about these like philosophical ideas
Yeah.
that have kind of shaped how we understand the world around us
Okay.
and how we go about doing research on, like anything.
Interesting. So, like, how we gain knowledge about stuff.
Exactly. Like, think of it this way. It's like we're understanding the different types of glasses that people have been using, throughout history to look at the same things.
Oh, that's a cool way to think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you say we take a deep dive into these different lenses today?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So today we are so lucky to be joined by an expert in the history and philosophy of knowledge. Welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Can you give us like a quick overview of what we're dealing with here?
Sure. So, we're diving into what are called paradigms of knowledge. Basically, these are like the main sets of beliefs or assumptions that sort of shape how we understand things at a specific time.
Okay, so like the framework we use to, interpret the world.
Exactly. It's the lens we're looking through.
Mm.
And, it impacts everything from like the questions we ask to like the way we interpret the answers we get.
So it's not just about the facts themselves, but how we go about finding and understanding them.
Right. It's about the whole approach.
Okay, so what are like some of the biggest frameworks we should know about?
Well, there are tons, but today we'll focus on like three major ones that have been really influential in research:
Okay.
rationalism, empiricism, and positivism.
Those are some big words.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they can sound intimidating, but the ideas are actually pretty straightforward. Let's start with rationalism. This really took off in the 17th century with thinkers like René Descartes.
Okay, so way back when.
Yeah, a while ago. So for rationalists, the core idea is that reason is like the main path to knowledge.
Okay, so like thinking things through using logic.
Exactly. They believe that by understanding the fundamental principles through logic, we can like arrive at truth.
So it's all about what our minds can figure out
Right.
without even like needing to go out and experience things.
Right. Like think of mathematical proofs. You get to the truth through reasoned steps, not by like touching or seeing something.
That makes sense. So it's about starting with principles and then reasoning from there.
Exactly. Now, empiricism is kind of the opposite. It's like, hold on, reason alone can only take you so far. This view really emphasizes experience and like the experimental method as the basis of knowledge.
So empiricists are all about observation.
Exactly. They think we build up our understanding of the world through our senses, you know?
Like touching a hot stove and learning that stoves can be hot.
Yes, exactly. It's about learning from what we observe and experience directly.
So rationalism is like top down, starting with principles. And empiricism is bottom up, starting with observations.
That's a perfect way to put it. And, empiricists had some critiques of the whole rationalist thing. They argued that if you rely too much on reason alone, you can end up with all sorts of like unsupported ideas.
I see.
They said that knowledge should be based on actual experience and that its value often lies in its practical application.
Like coming up with a new technology and then testing it out in the real world to see if it works.
Exactly. It's about what's useful and what actually works. Okay, are you ready to move on to positivism?
Yeah, let's talk positivism.
Okay, cool. So this one can be a little tricky because you hear it described in different ways, but it's been super important, especially in research, where people are trying to reach really solid evidence-based conclusions.
So it's all about being like really rigorous with your methods.
Right. So basically, positivism says that the scientific method is like the ultimate way to get at true knowledge. It looks to the natural sciences as the model.
Okay.
And it's based on this core belief that there's like an objective reality out there, something that exists whether we're observing it or not.
So like an objective truth that we can study scientifically.
Exactly. And they believe this reality operates according to laws, like cause and effect relationships
Mm-hmm.
that we can uncover through observation and experimentation. They believe that these laws let us explain things, predict what'll happen, and even control things. And importantly, the knowledge we get through this process is supposed to be like generally applicable across different situations and times.
So these are like universal truths.
Right. They're not just someone's opinion or specific to one situation. Science for them is about objectively finding the links between facts.
Got it.
They also often use this method where you come up with a hypothesis and then test it out through observation. It's called the hypothetico-deductive method.
Okay, makes sense. So positivism sees the world as like a system of separate measurable parts.
Yeah, exactly. They believe that you can understand the whole by looking at these individual pieces and how they relate to each other.
Okay, so why does all this matter for, like, the average person?
Well, it's about understanding where knowledge comes from and how it shapes our understanding of the world. The paradigm that's popular at any given time can really affect the types of questions researchers ask, the methods they use, and ultimately the answers they find.
So it's like you're saying earlier, it's about understanding the different lenses people use to see the world.
Yes. And if the way we're currently approaching a problem isn't working, it might be time to step back and consider looking at it through a different lens.
That's a really good point, especially with all the rapid changes happening in technology these days.
Hmm.
Like with AI and biotech, it's like a whole new world.
Exactly. This is what some call the third scientific technological revolution, and it means we have way more information than ever before.
Right, there's like this knowledge explosion going on.
Exactly. So now it's even more important to have effective ways to research and manage all of this information.
Mm.
And different philosophical approaches can offer different tools for tackling these challenges.
So as we wrap things up, here's something for you to ponder. Think about how these fundamental ways of thinking about knowledge, whether it's through reason, experience, or scientific objectivity, will continue to shape how we learn and discover things in the future, especially with all this technological change happening.
That's a great question.
Right. Which of these lenses, rationalism, empiricism, or positivism, resonates the most with you when you're trying to understand something new?
That's a tough one.
I know, right? It's food for thought.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive today. We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of ideas.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.